The paper crinkled beneath Naomi Bennett as she shifted on the examination table, her stomach tight with nerves she couldn't quite explain. The new office smelled different than Derek's, more clinical somehow, less familiar. She told herself this was routine, just a second opinion about why she hadn't conceived after 2 years of trying. Derek had assured her everything was fine, that it just took time, that stress was probably the culprit. But something deep in her gut whispered that she needed to hear it from someone else. Dr. Benjamin Foster entered the room, his white coat pristine, his expression professionally neutral. He was older than Derek, maybe mid-40s, with graying temples and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "Mrs. Bennett, good afternoon. I've reviewed the questionnaire you filled out. You mentioned you've been trying to conceive for 2 years?" "Yes," Naomi said, her voice steadier than she felt. She wore a bright blue blouse under the examination gown, one of her favorites. Derek always said it brought out the warmth in her brown skin. She pushed the thought away. "My husband is actually a gynecologist too. Dr. Derek Bennett. Maybe you know him?" Dr. Foster's fingers paused on his tablet. "I know of him. His practice is across town, correct?" "Yes. He's been treating me himself. He says everything looks normal, but—" She trailed off, not wanting to seem like she was doubting her own husband. "But you wanted another perspective. That's completely reasonable." Dr. Foster set down the tablet and washed his hands at the small sink. "Let's take a look and see what we're working with. I'll be as quick and comfortable as possible." The examination began routinely enough. Naomi stared at the ceiling tiles, counting them the way she always did during these appointments. 42 tiles in this room. Derek's office had 36. She'd counted them so many times over the past 2 years, during so many appointments where he'd assured her everything was progressing normally. But then Dr. Foster went quiet. The silence stretched longer than it should have. Naomi felt her heart begin to race, a cold sweat breaking out along her hairline. She could hear him breathing, measured and controlled, but something had changed in the room's atmosphere. "Mrs. Bennett," he said finally, his voice careful, "I need to ask you something. You said your husband has been your primary physician for your reproductive care." "Yes. For the past 5 years, actually. Since before we got married." She tried to sit up, but he gestured for her to wait. "And he's performed all your examinations? Prescribed any medications or treatments?" "Of course." "What? Is something wrong?" The anxiety in her chest bloomed into full panic. Dr. Foster rolled his chair back and removed his gloves. His expression was troubled, the kind of look that made Naomi's blood run cold. "I'm seeing some things that concern me. Physical indicators that don't match what I would expect from someone who's been trying to conceive naturally." "What kind of indicators?" Her voice came out smaller than she intended. "There are signs of recent hormonal intervention. Specifically, the kind that would be used to suppress ovulation, not encourage it." He met her eyes directly. "Mrs. Bennett, I need to run some comprehensive blood work immediately. What I'm seeing shouldn't be there if your goal has been to get pregnant." The room tilted. Naomi gripped the edges of the examination table, her knuckles going ashen against her brown skin. "I don't understand. Derek has been giving me prenatal vitamins. He said they would help prepare my body." "I'm not making any accusations," Dr. Foster said quickly, though his face said otherwise. "But the physical evidence suggests long-term exposure to contraceptive hormones. The concentration I'm detecting isn't something that happens naturally." Naomi's mind raced. Derek gave her vitamins every morning with breakfast. Small pink pills from an unmarked bottle. He said they were specially formulated, better than over-the-counter options. She took them faithfully, trusting him completely. He was her husband. He was a doctor. He loved her. Didn't he? "I need you to get dressed," Dr. Foster continued, his voice gentle but urgent. "I'm going to order a full hormone panel, liver function tests, and a few other screenings. I want to see exactly what's in your system. Can you do that for me right now?" She nodded mutely, her throat too tight for words. "And Mrs. Bennett, I need you to not mention this visit to your husband just yet. Not until we have the results. Can you do that too?" The request sent ice through her veins. "You think he's been, what? Hurting me? On purpose?" Dr. Foster stood, his expression grave. "I think we need information before we draw conclusions. But yes, I have serious concerns about the care you've been receiving. The patterns I'm seeing aren't consistent with treatment aimed at achieving pregnancy. They're consistent with preventing it." Naomi dressed in a daze, her fingers fumbling with buttons that suddenly seemed too complicated. The bright blue blouse felt wrong now, like a costume from a play she hadn't known she was performing. In the mirror she looked the same. Beautiful, Derek always said. Her natural hair framed her face in soft coils. Her skin glowed with the health she'd always taken pride in. But her eyes looked different. Haunted. The blood draw took 15 minutes. Naomi watched the vials fill with dark red, each one a potential answer to questions she'd been afraid to ask. The phlebotomist, a cheerful woman in purple scrubs, chatted about the weather. Naomi couldn't follow the conversation, just nodded and smiled automatically. We'll have preliminary results by tomorrow afternoon, Dr. Foster told her in his office afterward. Full panel by the end of the week. I'm going to be honest with you, Mrs. Bennett. If my suspicions are correct, this is a serious situation. Medical malpractice. Potentially criminal. He's my husband, Naomi whispered. He wouldn't, we're trying for a baby. It's all he talks about. How much he wants to be a father. I hope I'm wrong, Dr. Foster said, but his eyes said he didn't believe that. In the meantime, I want you to stop taking any medications your husband gives you. Tell him you're giving your body a break, that you read something online about letting your system reset. Can you do that? She nodded again. The world felt unreal, like she was watching herself from outside her body. And Mrs. Bennett, do you have somewhere safe you can stay if you need to? Family, friends? My mother lives about 20 minutes away. The words came automatically. Why would I need to stay with her? Just a precaution. If what I'm seeing is deliberate, confronting your husband could be difficult. I want you to have options. Naomi left the office in a fog. Her car sat in the parking lot where she'd left it, a sensible sedan Derek had helped her choose 3 years ago. Reliable, he'd said. Safe. She sat in the driver's seat for a long time, staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Don't forget, dinner with the Johnsons tonight at 7. Wear something nice. Love you. She stared at the message. Love you. He signed every text that way. Every morning he kissed her forehead and told her she was beautiful. Every night he held her and talked about the children they would have. The house they would buy. The life they would build. Had it all been a lie? Naomi drove home on autopilot, her mind spinning through 5 years of memories, looking for cracks she'd missed. Warning signs she'd ignored. But there was nothing. Derek had been perfect. Attentive. Loving. He'd supported her career. Encouraged her friendships. Never raised his voice or his hand. He'd been, by all accounts, an ideal husband. Except that he might have been poisoning her. The thought made her stomach heave. She pulled over to the side of the road and pressed her forehead against the steering wheel, breathing deeply until the nausea passed. Tomorrow she would have answers. Tomorrow she would know the truth. But tonight she had to sit across from Derek at dinner and pretend everything was fine. She had to smile and laugh and play the role of happy wife. Because if Dr. Foster was right, if Derek had been systematically preventing her from having the baby they supposedly both wanted, then she needed to be smart. She needed to be careful. She needed to prepare for her entire life to fall apart. The call came at 2 in the afternoon the next day, while Naomi sat in her office pretending to review marketing reports. She'd barely slept, lying next to Derek in their king-sized bed, watching him breathe peacefully while her mind screamed. He'd kissed her goodbye that morning like always, reminded her to take her vitamin, smiled at her with such warmth that she'd almost convinced herself Dr. Foster was wrong. Almost. Mrs. Bennett, this is Dr. Foster. Do you have a moment to talk privately? Naomi closed her office door and locked it. Yes. Tell me. I'm sorry. 2 words and her world tilted. The preliminary results confirm my concerns. Your blood shows elevated levels of levonorgestrel and ethinyl estradiol. Combined, those are the active ingredients in oral contraceptives. Long-term use based on the concentrations. Months, possibly years. The phone nearly slipped from her shaking hand. But I've never taken birth control. Not since before Derek and I got married. We stopped specifically so we could try for a baby. I know. Mrs. Bennett, I need you to bring me those vitamins your husband has been giving you. I want them tested immediately. He gives them to me every morning with breakfast. I've never even looked at the bottle closely. It's in the medicine cabinet. I trusted him. I understand this is devastating. But we need concrete proof before we can take further action. Can you get the bottle without him knowing? Naomi's mind raced. Derek was at his practice until 6. She could go home, photograph everything, take the pills. Yes. I'll do it now. Good. Bring them to my office. And Mrs. Bennett, I think you should consider contacting an attorney. What's been done to you is not just a betrayal of trust. It's a crime. An attorney. The word echoed in her head long after she ended the call. She was going to need a lawyer for her husband. Her husband, who she'd loved for 7 years, married for 5. The man she'd planned her entire future around. The drive home took forever and no time at all. Naomi parked in the driveway of the house they'd bought together 3 years ago. A pretty colonial with blue shutters and a garden she'd planted herself. She'd imagined children playing in that yard. Birthday parties and tree houses and scattered toys. All lies. Inside, everything looked normal. The breakfast dishes Derek had washed were drying in the rack. His coffee mug sat where he always left it. A note on the counter: "Can't wait to see you tonight. You're my everything." Naomi wanted to scream. Instead, she walked calmly to the master bathroom and opened the medicine cabinet. The vitamin bottle was right where it always was, pink pills visible through the translucent orange plastic. No label. No manufacturer information. Just Derek's handwriting on a piece of medical tape: Naomi's prenatals. She photographed it from every angle with her phone. Then she opened it and shook half the pills into a plastic bag, careful to leave enough that Derek wouldn't notice any missing. Her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped them. What else had he lied about? Naomi started searching. She went through their bedroom with methodical precision, opening drawers she'd never looked in because they were his space. In his nightstand she found nothing unusual. His closet held only clothes and shoes. But in his home office, in a locked drawer of his desk, she found the crowbar. It took 3 tries to get the drawer open. Inside were bank statements for an account she didn't know existed. Over $60,000, deposited in small increments over the past 3 years. A second phone, password protected. And a folder labeled medical records. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside were copies of her charts from Derek's practice. But there were notations she'd never seen, prescriptions she'd never known about. Patient continues on oral contraceptive regimen under guise of prenatal supplementation. Showing signs of frustration regarding conception delays. Reassured that stress is normal factor. Will continue treatment. The dates went back 2 years. 2 full years of documented deception. Naomi photographed every page, her vision blurring with tears she refused to let fall. Not yet. She needed to see everything first. At the bottom of the folder was a printed email. The address was one she didn't recognize, but the content made her blood run cold. "Derek, we need to talk about when you're going to tell her. I'm 8 weeks along now and it's getting harder to hide. You promised me we'd be together once she finally gave up on getting pregnant. How much longer are you going to string her along?" The signature: Simone. Naomi sat on the floor of Derek's office, surrounded by evidence of his betrayal, and tried to remember how to breathe. There was another woman. He'd gotten her pregnant, while systematically ensuring his own wife couldn't conceive. Her phone rang. Tasha Monroe, her best friend since college. Naomi answered without thinking. "Hey girl, haven't heard from you in a few days. Everything okay?" "No." The word came out broken. "Tasha, I need help. I need a lawyer. Can you come over?" "I'm already in my car." Tasha didn't ask questions, didn't hesitate. "Hold tight, sweetheart. I'm 10 minutes away." Naomi gathered all the evidence. Photos of the pills, the bank statements, the medical records, the emails. She'd moved on autopilot, her legal training kicking in even as her heart shattered. By the time Tasha arrived, she had everything organized in a folder on her laptop and backed up to the cloud. Tasha took one look at Naomi's face and pulled her into a fierce hug. "Tell me everything." So she did. The words poured out in a torrent, 5 years of perfect marriage revealed as an elaborate lie. Tasha listened without interrupting, her expression growing harder with each revelation. "That son of a..." Tasha caught herself. "Okay. First, you're coming to stay with me tonight. We're packing your essentials right now. Second, first thing tomorrow morning we're meeting with Preston Clark. He's the best divorce attorney in the state and he owes me a favor. Third, we're filing a police report. What Derek did isn't just unethical. It's assault." "I can't believe this is happening." Naomi's voice cracked. "Yesterday morning I woke up thinking I had a good marriage. Maybe not perfect but good. We had problems, sure, but we were working on them. Or at least I thought we were. You didn't have problems. You had a husband systematically drugging you against your will." Tasha's voice was steel. "That's not a marriage problem. That's a crime." They packed quickly. Naomi moved through her closet, grabbing clothes in a daze. A red dress Derek had bought her for their anniversary. A green sweater she'd worn on their first date. Everything felt contaminated now, tainted by his deception. She threw them in the suitcase anyway. She'd need clothes, and she refused to let him take anything else from her. What about when he gets home? Naomi asked as they loaded her car. When he sees I'm gone? You're going to send him a text from my house. Something normal. Tell him you're having a girls' night staying at my place. We need time to get everything in order before he knows you know. Element of surprise is crucial. At Tasha's apartment, Naomi finally let herself fall apart. She curled up on the couch and sobbed, 5 years of love and trust shattering like glass. Tasha sat beside her, rubbing her back, letting her cry it out. He said he loved me, Naomi whispered when she could speak again. Every day. Multiple times a day. Was any of it real? I don't know, honey. Maybe in his twisted mind it was. But real love doesn't look like this. Real love doesn't involve drugging your partner to prevent them from having the baby they desperately want. Naomi's phone buzzed. Derek, where are you? Coming home soon. She typed with shaking fingers. Girls' night with Tasha. Lost track of time. Staying here tonight. Love you. The words felt like poison, but they were necessary. Just a little longer, she told herself. Just until everything was in place. Derek's response came quickly. Have fun. Don't let her keep you up too late. Love you more. Naomi showed the message to Tasha, who made a disgusted sound. Gaslighting to the very end. Don't worry, we're going to destroy him. I don't want revenge, Naomi said. Then she paused, reconsidered. Actually, that's a lie. I want him to lose everything the way I'm losing everything. His license. His practice. His reputation. I want everyone to know what he did. Then that's what we'll make happen. Tasha squeezed her hand. I promise you, Naomi. We're going to make him pay. That night, Naomi couldn't sleep. She lay in Tasha's guest room, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of her relationship with Derek. Looking for the signs she'd missed. The red flags she'd ignored. Their first date had been magical. He'd taken her to an art gallery, spent 3 hours talking about her favorite paintings. He'd been attentive, funny, charming. When had the charm become manipulation? When had love become control? She thought about the vitamins. Every morning, without fail, Derek handed her that pink pill. Smiled at her. Told her how much he wanted their baby. How hard he was trying to figure out why it wasn't happening. All while ensuring it never would. How could someone do that? How could you lie to someone's face day after day, year after year? Make love to them while systematically sabotaging their dreams? Naomi's phone lit up with another text from Derek. Thinking about you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. She didn't respond. In the morning, everything would change. In the morning, she would start taking back her life. But tonight, she mourned the death of her marriage and the loss of the man she'd thought she loved. Because that man had never existed. He'd been a carefully constructed illusion, and the real Derek, the one who drugged her and cheated on her and lied to her face, was a stranger wearing a familiar mask. Tomorrow that stranger would learn she knew the truth. And his carefully built world would come crashing down. Preston Clark's office occupied the 20th floor of a steel and glass building downtown. Naomi sat in a leather chair across from his massive desk, Tasha beside her, and laid out the evidence of Derek's betrayal. The attorney listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each revelation. This is one of the most egregious cases of medical malpractice I've encountered, he said finally, setting down the folder of documents. And I've been practicing for 25 years. The systematic nature of it, the premeditation, the duration. Mrs. Bennett, your husband didn't just betray your trust. He committed assault, fraud, and malpractice. Can we prove it? Naomi asked. Her voice sounded stronger today, anger replacing shock. In court. With what you've gathered. Absolutely. The medical records from his office documenting his actions are particularly damning. He essentially confessed in writing. Add in Dr. Foster's examination results and the lab analysis of those pills, and we have an airtight case. Preston leaned forward. But I need to know what you want from this. Justice takes many forms. I want a divorce. I want everything. The house, the savings, his retirement accounts. I want him to pay for what he did to me financially and legally. And I want his medical license revoked so he can never do this to anyone else. Consider it done. Preston smiled, a sharp expression that reminded Naomi of a predator. I'll draft the divorce papers today. We'll also file complaints with the medical board and the police. Your husband's career is over, Mrs. Bennett. I'll make sure of it. They spent 3 hours going over details. Bank accounts, property ownership, medical documentation. By the time Naomi left, her head spun with legal terminology and strategic planning. But underneath the confusion was a core of steel. Derek had stolen 2 years of her life. She would make him pay for every minute. You okay? Tasha asked as they walked to the parking garage. No. But I will be. Naomi straightened her shoulders. She wore a maroon blazer today, professional and powerful. Clothes as armor. I need to know more about Simone. Who is she? How long has this been going on? Way ahead of you. Tasha pulled out her phone. I did some digging last night. Simone Hayes, 28, works as a nurse at Derek's practice. She's been there for 3 years. 3 years. Naomi's stomach turned. So this has been going on almost as long as we've been married. It looks that way. There's more. Simone posts on social media constantly. Instagram, Facebook, everything public. She's been documenting her pregnancy for the past 2 months. Tasha showed Naomi the phone. A pretty woman with light brown hair smiled at the camera, one hand on her barely visible belly. The caption, 8 weeks and glowing. Baby daddy better get ready. Naomi felt sick. Does she know he's married? Based on her posts, yes. There are a few veiled references to waiting for him to handle his situation, and complicated circumstances. She knew and she didn't care. They reached Naomi's car. She leaned against it, breathing deeply. I want to confront her. Tell her what kind of man she's having a baby with. Not yet. Tasha gripped her shoulder. We don't tip our hand until everything is in place. Preston will serve Derek with divorce papers next week. The medical board complaint goes in tomorrow. Once it's all official, then you can do what you want. But we stay strategic until then. Naomi nodded. Tasha was right. Emotion couldn't drive this. She needed to be smart, calculated. The way Derek had been when he'd planned to destroy her ability to have children. That evening, Naomi returned to the house. It felt wrong now, this place she'd thought of as home. Every corner held memories that had turned rotten. The kitchen where Derek had handed her poison disguised as vitamins. The bedroom where he'd held her and lied about their future. The nursery she'd started to decorate, just paint samples and furniture catalogs, dreams she'd shared with him in whispered late-night conversations. All of it built on lies. She found Derek's second phone in his office drawer, exactly where she'd left it. It took her 3 tries to guess the password, finally succeeding with Simone's birthday, a date she'd found on the woman's very public social media. The text messages told a story that made Naomi's blood boil. Hundreds of messages over the past year, each one more damning than the last. Can't wait until you're free of her and we can be a real family. I hate sneaking around like this. When are you going to tell her? She still doesn't suspect anything? You're such a good liar. Our baby deserves to have both parents together. You promised me you were working on it. Derek's responses were worse. Be patient. She's starting to give up on getting pregnant. Another few months and she'll accept it's not happening. Then I can leave without feeling guilty. You're the only one I love. Naomi is just comfortable, familiar. You're my future. The baby is everything I've ever wanted. We're going to be so happy. Naomi photographed every message, her hands remarkably steady given the rage coursing through her veins. This wasn't just an affair. This was a calculated plan to trap her in a childless marriage while he built a real family with someone else. He'd stolen her fertility, her time, her dreams, all while pretending to share them. The front door opened. Derek's voice called out, "Honey, I'm home." Naomi quickly put the phone back in the drawer and composed herself. She met him in the kitchen, her face a careful mask of normalcy. He kissed her cheek, the gesture now repulsive. "How was your day?" he asked, loosening his tie. A burgundy one she'd given him for Christmas. Fine. The usual. Naomi turned away, unable to look at him without her fury showing. How was the practice? Busy. Mrs. Henderson came in for her 3rd trimester checkup. The baby's doing great. He smiled, oblivious. Reminded me that we should keep trying. Maybe we should schedule another fertility consultation? I know a specialist in the city. The casual cruelty of it stunned her. He could stand there, fresh from texting his pregnant mistress, and suggest more fake treatments for the infertility he'd caused. The audacity was breathtaking. Maybe, Naomi managed. I'm actually thinking of taking a break from it all. The stress might be part of the problem. Derek's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of something she might have missed if she wasn't looking for it. Relief? Satisfaction? That might be smart. Sometimes when you stop focusing on it, it just happens naturally. Naturally. While he kept feeding her birth control pills. I'm tired, Naomi said abruptly. I think I'll go to bed early. Want company? Derek moved closer, his hands reaching for her waist. Naomi stepped back. Actually, I'm not feeling great. Might be coming down with something. Okay. He looked disappointed but not suspicious. Get some rest. Love you. She couldn't say the words back. Couldn't force them past the disgust clogging her throat. In their bedroom, Naomi locked herself in the bathroom and ran the shower to cover the sound of her crying. Silent sobs shook her shoulders as she slid down the wall, hugging her knees to her chest. How was she supposed to sleep beside him for another week? Pretend everything was fine while she knew the truth? She couldn't do this. Couldn't maintain the charade. Naomi pulled out her phone and texted Tasha. I need to move up the timeline. I can't stay here with him. The response came immediately. Come stay with me. Pack a bag and leave tonight. Say you're sick and don't want to get him sick before his big surgery Friday. Make an excuse and go. Yes, that would work. Derek had a major surgery scheduled for the end of the week, something he'd been preparing for. He wouldn't want to risk getting ill before it. Naomi splashed water on her face, composed herself and returned to the bedroom. Derek was already in bed, reading a medical journal. She pulled a duffel bag from the closet. What are you doing? He asked. I think I might have the flu. I feel awful and I don't want you to catch it before Friday. I'm going to stay at Tasha's for a few days. You sure? I can sleep in the guest room. No, it's fine. Tasha's closer to my office anyway and I have that big presentation on Thursday. This way I won't disturb you with my tossing and turning. Derek got up and kissed her forehead, checking for fever. The gesture felt like a violation. Text me if you need anything. I can bring you soup or medicine. I will. Thanks. Naomi grabbed random clothes, toiletries, anything to make the bag look legitimate. Then she fled, desperate to escape his presence. In her car, she gripped the steering wheel and screamed. Let out all the rage and pain she'd been holding in. Then she drove to Tasha's apartment and collapsed on the couch. Preston says we can move faster, Tasha told her, handing her a glass of wine. He's filing everything tomorrow morning. Derek will be served with papers by Friday afternoon. Good. Naomi took a long drink. I can't pretend anymore. Can't stand to be in the same room as him. You won't have to after this week. But Naomi, you need to prepare yourself. When he gets those papers, when he realizes you know everything, he's going to try to manipulate you. Gaslight you. Maybe even threaten you. Men like Derek don't give up power easily. Let him try. Naomi's voice was hard. I have evidence he can't dispute. I have medical proof. I have his own written confession in his patient notes. What can he possibly say to make this better? He'll try anyway. They always do. Tasha sat beside her. Just promise me you won't listen. Don't let him back in your head. I promise. Naomi looked at her friend. Thank you for having my back through this. Always. That's what friends are for. Tasha raised her glass. To taking down lying, manipulative bastards. I'll drink to that. Naomi clinked her glass against Tasha's, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she felt a spark of something besides pain. She felt hope. Hope that she would survive this. Hope that Derek would face consequences. Hope that someday somehow she would build a life free from his lies. Friday afternoon, Naomi sat in Tasha's living room when her phone exploded with calls. Derek's name flashed across the screen 12 times in a row. She let each one go to voicemail, her heart pounding. He's been served, Tasha said, watching from the kitchen. Preston said it happened at his office about an hour ago. In front of staff and patients. Good. Naomi wanted him humiliated the way she'd been. Let everyone see the perfect Dr. Bennett unraveling. The voicemail started coming through. She put the phone on speaker so Tasha could hear. Naomi, what the hell is this? Divorce papers? Call me immediately. This is insane. Baby, please. Whatever you think you know, we can talk about it. Just come home so we can discuss this like adults. This is a misunderstanding. I don't know who told you what, but they're lying. I love you. Please call me. The messages grew more desperate as the stack of evidence against him became clear. By voicemail number 8, his tone had shifted from pleading to anger. You went through my private files? That's a violation of my privacy, Naomi. You had no right. If you think you can take me for everything in this divorce, you're mistaken. I have lawyers too. Call me back right now. We need to discuss this before you make things worse for yourself. Naomi deleted each message without responding. Let him stew in uncertainty. Let him feel a fraction of the confusion and pain she'd experienced. An hour later, Derek showed up at Tasha's apartment. Naomi watched through the window as he got out of his car, his usually composed face twisted with fury. He pounded on the door. Naomi, open up. I know you're in there. Tasha called through the door without opening it. She doesn't want to talk to you, Derek. Leave now or I'm calling the police. This is between me and my wife. Stay out of it. Your wife has a restraining order being filed on Monday. You're violating it before it even exists. I suggest you go home. Naomi. Derek's voice cracked. Please, baby. Just talk to me. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Naomi stood on the other side of the door, her whole body shaking. Part of her wanted to throw it open and scream at him, demand answers for questions she hadn't even fully formed yet. But the smarter part, the part that was learning to protect herself, kept her rooted in place. I'll give you 5 minutes, she said finally, knowing she'd regret it. But she needed to look him in the eye. Needed to hear him try to explain the inexplicable. But not here. Coffee shop on Main Street. 30 minutes. Public place, cameras everywhere. And if you try anything, I walk away and you never hear from me again. Silence. Then, okay. 30 minutes. Tasha grabbed Naomi's arm as Derek's footsteps retreated. Are you sure about this? No. But I need closure. I need to hear him try to justify what he did. Naomi pulled on her coat, a bright green one that made her feel brave. Come with me. Sit at a different table, but come with me. The coffee shop was crowded, full of college students studying and couples on dates. Normal people living normal lives. Naomi found a table in the back, visible to Tasha but isolated enough for private conversation. Derek arrived exactly on time. He looked terrible, his usual polished appearance disheveled. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair uncombed. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. Under different circumstances, Naomi might have felt sorry for him. Today she felt nothing but cold satisfaction. He sat down across from her, reaching for her hands. She pulled them away. Don't touch me. Naomi, please. I can explain. Explain what? How you been drugging me for 2 years. How you got your mistress pregnant while telling me you wanted a baby with me. Explain which part, Derek? His face crumpled. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I have your medical records. Your notes documenting how you gave me birth control pills disguised as prenatal vitamins. I have text messages between you and Simone. I have bank statements showing money you hid from me. I have everything, Derek. So don't insult me by claiming I misunderstood. I love you, he whispered. You don't drug someone you love. You don't lie to them every single day for years. You don't destroy their dreams while pretending to share them. Naomi's voice stayed level despite the rage burning through her. You're a monster. I'm not. I made mistakes. I got confused. Simone, she was a mistake. The pills, I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me from what? Having the baby I desperately wanted. Derek's hands twisted together on the table. You're so focused on your career. I thought a baby would hold you back. Make you unhappy. I was trying to give you more time to achieve your goals before we had kids. The lie was so transparent, so insulting that Naomi almost laughed. Interesting theory, except I told you repeatedly I wanted to start a family. I asked you, begged you to help me figure out why I wasn't getting pregnant. You looked me in the eye and told me we'd figure it out together. Meanwhile, you were creating the problem you pretended to solve. I panicked. Things with Simone got complicated and I didn't know how to get out of it. So you decided to keep both of us? String me along in a fake marriage while building a real family with her? That was your solution. Derek's facade cracked further. Tears welled in his eyes, though Naomi suspected they were for himself, not her. I never meant to hurt you. I thought I could make it work. I thought eventually you'd give up on having kids and we could just be us. Then Simone got pregnant and everything spiraled. How long have you been with her? 3 years. But Naomi, she doesn't mean what you mean to me. You're my wife. My partner. She's just what? Just the mother of your child? Just the woman you actually wanted to have a family with? Naomi leaned forward. Did you ever actually want children with me, or was that always a lie? Derek couldn't meet her eyes. The silence was answer enough. Get out, Naomi said quietly. Go back to Simone and your baby. Build your life with her. But you'll do it poor and without your medical license because I'm taking everything from you. The house, the money, your career. All of it. You can't do that. I'll fight you. You'll lose. Preston Clark has already filed complaints with the medical board. The police are investigating. You committed a crime, Derek. Multiple crimes. You assaulted me medically for years. That's not something you recover from professionally or personally. Derek's face went white. You went to the police? Of course I did. What you did is illegal. Did you really think I'd just quietly divorce you and move on? Naomi, please. Think about what you're doing. If this goes public, it'll destroy both of us. People will ask why you didn't notice. They'll blame you for being stupid enough to trust me. The attempted manipulation was so clumsy it was almost sad. Let them. I'd rather be seen as too trusting than as the man who poisoned his wife. Your reputation is done, Derek. Accept it. She stood up. Derek grabbed her wrist, desperate. Wait, can't we work this out? Go to counseling, start over? I'll end things with Simone. We can try again for real this time. Naomi yanked her arm free. You don't get it. There is no we anymore. There never really was. You created an illusion and I fell for it. But I'm awake now and I see you clearly. You're pathetic. Weak. A coward who drugged his wife rather than have an honest conversation about what he wanted. I'm sorry. Derek was crying now, really crying. I'm so sorry. I love you. Please don't do this. You should have thought about that before you destroyed our marriage. Before you stole 2 years of my life. Before you got another woman pregnant while lying to my face. Naomi picked up her purse. Sign the divorce papers. Give me what I'm owed. Maybe then I'll consider not pursuing criminal charges. You'd let me go to jail? In a heartbeat. She walked away without looking back, Tasha falling into step beside her. Outside, Naomi's legs gave out. She leaned against the building, breathing hard, adrenaline crash hitting her all at once. You were incredible in there, Tasha said, steadying her. Absolutely incredible. I wanted to hit him. Scream at him. Break down and demand to know why I wasn't enough. But you didn't. You stayed strong and in control. That's what matters. Tasha helped her to the car. Come on. Let's go home. You've earned some wine and terrible reality TV. That evening, curled up on Tasha's couch with a glass of Chardonnay, Naomi finally processed what had happened. She'd confronted Derek. Looked him in the eye and called him out for every lie. And she'd survived it. More than survived. She'd won. Her phone buzzed with a text from Preston. Derek's attorney called. He wants to negotiate a settlement. Sounds like he's ready to give you whatever you want to make this go away quietly. Naomi smiled grimly and texted back. No quiet settlements. I want a public trial if he doesn't give me everything plus damages. Let him choose. The response came quickly. Understood. I'll communicate that. Get some rest, Mrs. Bennett. You've had a long day. Mrs. Bennett. Soon that wouldn't be her name anymore. Soon she'd just be Naomi again, free from Derek and his lies. The thought filled her with something she hadn't felt in days. Relief. Monday morning brought a flood of activity. Preston Clark's office became Naomi's second home as they prepared for legal battle. The conference room table was covered with documents. Medical records, bank statements, text messages, photographs. Everything they needed to destroy Derek's defense. The medical board hearing is scheduled for next month, Preston explained, organizing files. They took one look at the evidence and fast-tracked it. Dr. Foster's testimony alone would be enough, but combined with Derek's own documentation. He shook his head. I've never seen such a clear-cut case of malpractice. What about criminal charges? Naomi asked. She wore a blue suit today, professional and put together. Armor for the battles ahead. The district attorney is reviewing the file. Assault with intent to cause bodily harm, fraud, possibly more depending on what else they find. Derek's looking at potential prison time. Preston met her eyes. Are you prepared for how ugly this might get? He's going to try every tactic to discredit you. Let him try. I have truth on my side. The first salvo came that afternoon. Derek's attorney, a sleek woman named Patricia Owens, requested a meeting. Naomi agreed, curious what approach they'd take. Patricia was younger than expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and an expensive suit. She sat across from Naomi and Preston with the confidence of someone used to winning. Mrs. Bennett, I'll be direct. My client made serious mistakes. He's willing to admit that and offer a generous settlement. How generous? Naomi asked. Full custody of the marital home, 70% of shared assets, plus a lump sum payment of $200,000. In exchange, you agree to withdraw the medical board complaint and criminal charges. The offer was substantial. More than Naomi had expected. But it wasn't enough. No. Patricia's eyebrow rose. That's a very fair offer, Mrs. Bennett. More than you'd likely get in court. I don't want fair. I want everything. And I want Derek to face consequences for what he did. Money doesn't erase 2 years of systematic abuse. Medical abuse, Patricia corrected. Let's be accurate about what happened here. Let's be accurate about all of it, Preston interjected. Your client drugged his wife for 2 years while having an affair and impregnating his mistress. He documented his actions in patient files. He planned and executed this deception with full knowledge of its illegality. There's no defense. Patricia's pleasant expression never wavered. There are always defenses, Mr. Clark. For instance, Mrs. Bennet had access to those pills for 2 years. She could have had them tested at any time. Why didn't she? The implication hung in the air. Naomi felt her face heat with anger, but Preston touched her arm, a silent message to stay calm. Because she trusted her husband, Preston said. That's not a defense for his actions. That's proof of how deeply he betrayed her. Or proof that the marriage had issues neither party is being honest about. Perhaps Mrs. Bennet suspected what the pills really were but chose to take them anyway to avoid pregnancy while pursuing her career. Maybe this is buyer's remorse dressed up as victimhood. Naomi stood up so fast her chair scraped loudly against the floor. Get out. We're done here. Patricia gathered her papers, unruffled. Think about my offer, Mrs. Bennet. Because once this goes to trial, once every detail of your marriage is made public, you might wish you'd taken the money and moved on quietly. Trials are messy. They expose everything. Are you ready for the world to know every intimate detail of your relationship? Every fight, every insecurity, every moment of weakness. Are you ready for the world to know your client is a criminal? Naomi shot back. Because that's what he is. Not a flawed husband. Not someone who made mistakes. A criminal who systematically poisoned his wife. We'll see what a jury decides. Patricia left without another word. Naomi sank back into her chair, shaking. She's going to paint me as complicit. Make it seem like I knew what was happening. She's going to try, Preston agreed. But her argument falls apart under scrutiny. Why would you file complaints if you were complicit? Why would you gather evidence against yourself? Her strategy is intimidation, hoping you'll take the settlement to avoid trial. Don't give her that satisfaction. The next blow came from an unexpected direction. That evening, Naomi's phone rang with an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Naomi? It's Simone. Naomi's blood ran cold. How did you get this number? Derek gave it to me. Look, I know you hate me, but we need to talk. Woman to woman. We have nothing to discuss. Please. 5 minutes. I'm pregnant and scared and Derek's falling apart. I need to understand what's happening. Something in Simone's voice, a genuine note of fear, made Naomi pause. You want to know what's happening? Your boyfriend, the father of your baby, drugged me for 2 years to prevent me from getting pregnant. He systematically abused me while planning a life with you. That's what's happening. Silence. Then quietly, I didn't know about the pills. He told me you couldn't have children naturally. That you'd agreed not to pursue fertility treatments. He lied to you. Just like he lied to me. I'm starting to realize that. Simone's voice cracked. He told me he was getting divorced. That you were filing papers. He made it sound mutual, like you both wanted out. Then suddenly he's served with divorce papers accusing him of assault and everyone at the office is talking about medical board investigations. What did he do? Naomi almost felt sorry for her. Almost. He's exactly who I thought he was. A manipulator. A liar. Someone who uses people to get what he wants. I'm 8 months pregnant with his child. Simone was crying now. What am I supposed to do? That's not my problem. Naomi kept her voice hard. You knew he was married. You still made the choice to be with him. Now deal with the consequences. You're right. I'm sorry. I know you don't owe me anything, but I need you to know I didn't understand the full situation. If I'd known what he was doing to you, you still would have slept with him. You still would have gotten pregnant. Because you wanted him and you didn't care who got hurt. Naomi took a breath. Don't call me again. You and Derek deserve each other. She hung up feeling dirtier than before. Simone's pain was real, but it didn't erase her complicity. She'd helped Derek cheat, helped him build the lie that had devastated Naomi's life. Tasha found her on the balcony an hour later, staring at the city lights. Preston called. The medical board moved up the hearing. 2 weeks from now. Good. The faster this is over, the better. There's something else. Tasha hesitated. Derek's been calling your mother. Naomi spun around. What? Trying to get her to convince you to drop the charges. Apparently he showed up at her house this afternoon, crying about how much he loves you and how this is all a misunderstanding. And what did she say? She told him to leave or she'd call the cops. Then she called me to make sure you were okay. Tasha smiled. Your mom's a fighter. She wanted me to tell you she supports whatever you decide, But personally she hopes you take him for everything he's worth. Naomi laughed, the first genuine laugh in days. That sounds like her. You should call her. She's worried about you. Later that night, Naomi talked to her mother for an hour. Grace Bennett, soon to not share a last name with Derek, listened to everything without judgment. I knew something was off about him, Grace said finally. Nothing I could put my finger on. Just a feeling. He was too perfect. Too careful with his words. Why didn't you say anything? Because you were happy. Or I thought you were. And what was I supposed to say? Your husband is polite and attentive and I don't trust him? Grace sighed. I should have listened to my instincts. This isn't your fault, Mom. I know. But I still wish I'd pushed harder when you talked about fertility problems. Suggested you see a different doctor for a second opinion sooner. I did eventually. That's how I found out the truth. Thank God for that doctor. What's his name? Dr. Foster. Benjamin Foster. I'm writing him a thank you note. Maybe a fruit basket. Something. He saved you from years more of abuse. Grace's voice hardened. That boy better hope I don't see him on the street. I raised you better than to put up with his nonsense, and I'm proud you're standing up for yourself now. Thanks, Mom. You staying with Tasha indefinitely? For now. Until the divorce is final and I can figure out what's next. You know you can always come home, right? Your old room is exactly how you left it. Naomi smiled. I'm 32, Mom. I'm not moving back into my childhood bedroom. The offer stands anyway. You're my daughter. I'll always have space for you. After they hung up, Naomi felt lighter. Her mother's unconditional support meant everything. She wasn't alone in this fight. She had Tasha, Preston, her mother, Dr. Foster. A team of people who believed her and wanted to help her win. Derek had himself, Simone, and an attorney fighting a losing battle. The odds were in her favor for the first time since this nightmare began. The medical board hearing took place in a sterile conference room that reminded Naomi of a courtroom. 5 board members sat behind a long table, their expressions neutral but attentive. Derek sat with Patricia Owens at a separate table, looking smaller than Naomi remembered. She took her seat beside Preston, her hands folded calmly in her lap despite the nervous energy coursing through her. Dr. Foster testified first. He walked the board through his examination findings, the hormone levels in Naomi's blood, the analysis of the pills Derek had given her. His testimony was clinical, precise, devastating. In my professional opinion, Dr. Foster concluded, Dr. Bennett engaged in systematic medical abuse of his wife over an extended period. The evidence is incontrovertible. He documented his actions in patient files, proving premeditation and intent. Patricia Owens cross-examined, trying to find holes in his testimony. Dr. Foster, is it possible Mrs. Bennett obtained these hormones elsewhere and the presence in her system is unrelated to her husband's care? No. The specific formulation matches pills found in the Bennett home, labeled in Dr. Bennett's handwriting as prenatal vitamins. Additionally, Dr. Bennett's own medical notes document administering oral contraceptives to his wife. Notes that Mrs. Bennett obtained through illegal search and seizure of private files. The legality of how the evidence was obtained doesn't change what it proves, Dr. Foster replied calmly. Dr. Bennett drugged his wife without her knowledge or consent while she was actively trying to conceive. That's malpractice at best, assault at worst. Next came testimony from a reproductive endocrinologist who reviewed Naomi's medical history. She explained how the long-term use of oral contraceptives could affect fertility, the potential complications, the psychological harm of creating false infertility. Then Naomi took the stand. She recounted the years of trying to conceive, the tests Derek ran that always came back normal, the reassurances that it would happen eventually. She described taking the pink pills every morning, trusting completely that her husband wanted the same future she did. When Preston asked her to describe discovering the truth, her voice stayed steady even as tears rolled down her cheeks. I felt violated. Not just because of what he did to my body but because of the trust he destroyed. For 2 years I looked him in the eye and asked why we couldn't have a baby. For 2 years he lied while creating the exact problem he pretended to solve. Patricia Owens approached for cross-examination. Mrs. Bennett, you're an educated woman with a successful marketing career, correct? Yes. You understand medical terminology, have access to the internet, could have researched any concerns you had? I trusted my husband. But you're not stupid. Naive perhaps, but not stupid. Are you telling this board that in 2 full years, you never once suspected something was wrong? Naomi met Patricia's eyes directly. I suspected my body was betraying me. I suspected I had some medical condition preventing pregnancy. I never suspected the man I loved was causing it on purpose. That's not naivete. That's trust. And he weaponized that trust against me. Patricia pressed harder. You had access to those pills? You could have had them tested yourself at any time. Why would I? They were in a bottle my husband labeled as prenatal vitamins. I had no reason to doubt him. Except the fertility problems you were experiencing, which he was supposedly helping me solve. Naomi's voice rose slightly. Are you suggesting I should have suspected my own husband of medical abuse? That I should have investigated every medication he gave me? What kind of marriage requires that level of distrust? The kind where one party is conveniently unaware of facts that don't support her victim narrative. Preston objected immediately. Counsel is testifying, not questioning. The board chairwoman, Dr. Margaret Chin. No, wait, I can't use that name. Dr. Margaret Thompson intervened. Ms. Owens, stick to questions. Mrs. Bennett, you may step down. Derek testified last. Naomi watched him take the stand, his usual confidence gone. He looked haggard, broken. Good. Patricia tried to rehabilitate his image. Dr. Bennett, can you explain your actions regarding your wife's care? I made terrible mistakes, Derek said, his voice barely above a whisper. I was trying to protect her career. Naomi worked so hard and I thought a baby would derail her ambitions. I wanted to give her more time. So your intent was protective, not malicious? Yes. I never meant to hurt her. I love her. Preston's cross-examination destroyed that narrative in minutes. Dr. Bennett, you documented in your patient files, and I quote, patient continues on oral contraceptive regimen under guise of prenatal supplementation. Does that sound like protection or deception? Derek's face flushed. I worded that poorly. You also texted your mistress, quote, she's starting to give up on getting pregnant. Another few months and she'll accept it's not happening. Then I can leave without feeling guilty. Does that sound like protection? That was taken out of context. What context makes that acceptable? Preston moved closer. You systematically drugged your wife while planning to leave her for another woman who you impregnated. You stole 2 years of her life. You violated her body, her trust, and your medical oath. There's no context that excuses that. Derek had no answer. The board deliberated for 40 minutes. When they returned, Dr. Thompson read their decision with grave formality. Dr. Derek Bennett, this board finds you guilty of gross malpractice, breach of medical ethics, and patient abuse. Your medical license is hereby revoked permanently. We are also recommending criminal charges be filed with the district attorney's office. This kind of systematic abuse cannot and will not be tolerated in the medical profession. Derek's face went white. Patricia leaned in, whispering urgently, but he just shook his head numbly. His career was over. Everything he'd worked for gone. Naomi felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication. Just emptiness where anger used to be. Outside the hearing room, reporters crowded around them. The story had leaked, and now cameras flashed as journalists shouted questions. Mrs. Bennett, how do you feel about the board's decision? Do you plan to pursue criminal charges? What do you want people to know about medical abuse? Preston shielded her, moving them quickly toward his car. But Naomi stopped, turned to face the cameras. I want people to know that trust isn't weakness, she said clearly. I trusted my husband because that's what marriage is supposed to be. He exploited that trust. He weaponized his medical knowledge to control me. And now he's facing consequences. If anyone else is experiencing something similar, if you suspect a medical professional is abusing their position, please speak up. You deserve better. We all deserve better. The statement made every news outlet by that evening. Naomi's face was everywhere, on television and newspapers across social media. The story resonated. Other women came forward with stories of medical professionals abusing their trust. Derek became a symbol of everything wrong with unchecked medical authority. And his practice collapsed completely. Within 3 days, his partners dissolved the practice. His malpractice insurance dropped him. The hospital where he had privileges revoked them. Every professional association expelled him. Derek Bennett went from successful gynecologist to pariah in less than a week. Simone left him the same day his license was revoked. She called Naomi one last time, voice hollow. I'm moving back to my parents' place upstate. The baby deserves better than what Derek can offer now. Good luck, Naomi said and meant it. The baby was innocent in all this. Simone had made bad choices, but she was paying for them. That was enough. I'm sorry, Simone added. For everything. I was selfish and stupid and I didn't think about who I was hurting. You deserved better. Yes, I did. Naomi hung up without waiting for a response. The divorce proceedings moved swiftly after that. Derek signed everything Preston put in front of him. The house, the savings, his retirement accounts. All of it transferred to Naomi's name. He didn't fight. Didn't argue. Just signed and handed over his life piece by piece. The financial settlement is final, Preston told her 3 weeks after the medical board hearing. You're a wealthy woman, Mrs. Bennett. Derek's contribution to the marriage has been properly compensated. I'd trade all of it to have those 2 years back, Naomi said quietly. I know. But at least this way you have resources to rebuild. To create the life he tried to deny you. The criminal trial was set for 6 months out. Derek had been charged with assault, fraud, and medical malpractice. His attorney was pushing for a plea deal, but the district attorney wanted to make an example of him. Medical professionals who abuse their position need to face serious consequences, District Attorney James Morrison told Naomi during their preparation meeting. Derek Bennett's case will set a precedent. We're asking for the maximum sentence. How long? 5 to 7 years if convicted on all charges. 5 to 7 years. Seemed like both too much and not enough. Too much time for Derek to waste in prison when he could be working to make some kind of restitution. Not enough time to account for what he'd stolen from her. But it would have to do. 6 months after the medical board hearing, Naomi stood in the empty house that used to be her marital home. Derek had moved out and she'd spent the past week packing up his remaining belongings. Everything was in boxes ready to be donated or thrown away. She didn't want any reminders of their life together. The house itself would be sold. Too many memories haunted these rooms. Instead, she'd bought a sleek condo downtown, all clean lines and modern fixtures. A fresh start in a space Derek had never touched. Tasha helped her load the last boxes into her car. You doing okay? Getting there. Naomi looked back at the house one final time. This place represented everything I thought my future would be. Family dinners, kids running through the yard, growing old with someone I loved. Now it's just a building full of lies. Then let it go. Build something better. The condo was bright and airy with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Naomi furnished it slowly, deliberately choosing pieces that felt like her, not like some idealized version of a married woman. Bold colors, modern art, comfortable spaces designed for living rather than impressing guests. She'd also started therapy. Dr. Rachel Kim met with her twice a week, helping her process the trauma of Derek's betrayal. The anger was easier than the grief, but both needed expression. You're mourning the loss of your marriage, Dr. Kim explained during one session. That's normal and healthy. But you're also mourning the loss of trust, of innocence, of belief in love. Those are harder to rebuild. Will I ever trust anyone again? Naomi asked. I keep thinking about future relationships and I can't imagine letting someone that close. What if they're lying too? Not everyone is Derek. Most people are honest, flawed humans trying their best. You learned that trust without verification can be dangerous. Now you'll be more cautious. That's not a bad thing. It feels lonely. It is lonely. But loneliness is temporary. You're building yourself back up, stronger this time. Eventually you'll be ready to let people in again. On your terms. Naomi threw herself into work. Her marketing firm had been understanding during the divorce, giving her space and flexibility. Now she returned with renewed focus, channeling her energy into campaigns and strategies. Her boss, Robert Sterling, wait, can't use that name. Her boss, Robert Hughes, pulled her aside 3 months into her recovery. Naomi, your work lately has been exceptional. Sharp, creative, bold. Whatever you're channeling, it's working. Rage is a powerful motivator, she said wryly. Well, keep it up. We're promoting you to senior director. More pay, your own team, bigger accounts. You've earned it. The promotion felt like validation. She was building a life independent of Derek, successful on her own terms. The money from the divorce settlement sat in investments, growing steadily, but she wanted to earn her own way forward. She also started reconnecting with friends she'd lost touch with during her marriage. Derek had been subtly isolating, always finding reasons why dinner plans needed to be canceled or why visits needed to be cut short. Now Naomi saw the manipulation clearly. She reached out to old college friends, co-workers she'd liked but never socialized with, women from a book club she'd left when Derek claimed she was too busy. The responses were overwhelmingly positive. Everyone wanted to support her, be there for her, help her rebuild. One evening, Naomi hosted her first dinner party in the new condo. 6 women, all friends at different stages of life, gathered around her dining table. They ate pasta and drank wine and laughed until their sides hurt. This was healing, Naomi realized. Connection, community, joy. To new beginnings, Tasha toasted, raising her glass. To new beginnings, they echoed. Naomi's body healed slowly. Dr. Foster monitored her hormone levels, watching as the contraceptives worked their way out of her system. After 6 months, her cycles normalized. After 8 months, tests showed her fertility was returning to normal ranges. If you still want to have children, Dr. Foster told her gently, there's no medical reason you can't. Your body has recovered beautifully. I do want children, Naomi admitted. But not yet. Not until I'm ready. On my terms this time. She started exploring her options. Fertility preservation, IVF with donor sperm, adoption. No decisions, just research. Learning what possibilities existed. She had time now. Time Derek had tried to steal, but that was hers again. Exercise became therapy. Naomi joined a gym, hired a trainer, pushed her body to new limits. The physical strength translated to emotional strength. Every mile she ran, every weight she lifted, was proof she was stronger than what Derek had done to her. She also volunteered. A women's shelter downtown needed help, and Naomi spent Saturday mornings there, organizing donations and talking with women escaping abuse. Her story resonated. Many had been medically abused or controlled through various means. Sharing experiences, offering support, made her feel less alone. You're a survivor, one woman told her. You got out and you're fighting back. That gives the rest of us hope. The criminal trial approached. Derek had rejected the plea deal, insisting on going to trial. His new attorney, a public defender since he couldn't afford private counsel anymore, tried to paint him as a man who'd made mistakes under stress, not a criminal who'd planned systematic abuse. Naomi prepared to testify again, this time in front of a jury. Preston coached her through practice sessions, helping her stay focused and clear. They'll try to make you seem unreliable, Preston explained. Question your memory, your motives, your emotions. Stay calm. Stick to facts. Let the evidence speak. The night before the trial, Naomi couldn't sleep. She paced her condo, looking out at the city lights, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. A chance decision to get a second opinion. Dr. Foster's keen eye. Her own courage to investigate and confront. She could have ignored the signs. Could have accepted Derek's lies and lived in comfortable ignorance. Many people did. Stayed in bad marriages because leaving was harder than staying. But she'd chosen truth even when it hurt. Even when it destroyed everything she thought she knew. And now she was building something better from the ashes. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Proud of you, baby girl. Get some sleep. Tomorrow you tell your truth and let the jury decide. That's all you can do. Naomi smiled. Her mother was right. She'd done everything she could. Gathered evidence, testified honestly, stood up for herself. The rest was out of her hands. She finally fell asleep around 3 a.m, her dreams a confused mix of past and future. In them, she saw a little girl who looked like her, running through a sunny yard, laughing. A future child, maybe. A symbol of hope. When she woke, Naomi dressed in a bright maroon dress that made her feel powerful. Professional. Unbroken. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw a survivor looking back. Not a victim. A fighter. Let's do this, she told her reflection. The courthouse waited. Justice waited. And Naomi was ready. The criminal trial lasted 3 weeks. Naomi testified on the second day, walking the jury through her story with the same steady voice she'd used at the medical board hearing. Some jurors cried. Others looked angry. All of them looked convinced. Derek's defense attorney tried to paint him as a man struggling with mental health issues, someone who'd made poor decisions under stress. But the evidence was too damning. The documented medical records. The text messages. Dr. Foster's expert testimony. Simone's statement about Derek's lies and manipulation. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous on all counts, guilty. Derek showed no emotion as the judge read the sentence. 5 years in state prison, followed by 3 years of supervised probation. He'd be 51 when he got out, his medical career permanently destroyed, his reputation ruined. Mr. Bennett, the judge said, her voice stern, you violated the trust inherent in both marriage and medicine. You used your position of authority to systematically abuse someone who loved you. That kind of betrayal deserves serious consequences. I hope you spend your time in prison reflecting on the harm you've caused. Derek was led away in handcuffs. Naomi watched him go, feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and emptiness. Justice had been served, but it didn't erase what he'd done. It didn't give her back the years he'd stolen. But it was something. A line drawn, a statement made. This behavior won't be tolerated. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed again. But Naomi was prepared this time. She'd written a statement, practiced it with Preston until it felt natural. Today justice was served, she told the cameras. But this case is about more than one man's crimes. It's about the power imbalances that exist in medicine, in marriage, in society. It's about the trust we place in professionals and partners, and how devastating it is when that trust is weaponized against us. I hope my story encourages others to speak up, to question, to demand transparency. No one should suffer in silence the way I did. The statement went viral. Major news outlets picked it up. Naomi received hundreds of messages from women sharing their own stories of medical abuse, manipulation, control. The response was overwhelming and heartbreaking. She started speaking publicly. First at a local women's group, then at a medical conference about patient rights. Her story became a rallying cry for better oversight, clearer protocols, stronger protections. A publisher reached out interested in a book. Naomi declined. She wasn't ready to relive everything in that much detail yet. Maybe someday, but not now. Instead, she channeled her energy into a new project. A nonprofit focused on medical advocacy and patient education. Know Your Care launched 6 months after the trial, offering resources about medical rights, second opinion services, and support for people experiencing medical manipulation. Funding came from her divorce settlement. Volunteers came from everywhere. Survivors, advocates, medical professionals who were horrified by Derek's case and wanted to prevent similar situations. The organization grew faster than Naomi expected, filling a need she hadn't fully understood existed. Through this work, she met Jordan Rivers. He was a healthcare attorney who volunteered legal services to the nonprofit. Tall, kind-eyed, with a gentle manner that immediately put people at ease. Their first conversation lasted 3 hours, ranging from legal structures to personal experiences to favorite books. I went through something similar, Jordan admitted over coffee one afternoon. Not medical abuse, but my ex-wife lied about major things throughout our marriage. Financial stuff mostly. When the truth came out, it felt like everything I thought I knew was fiction. How did you move past it? Naomi asked. Slowly. With help. And by accepting that being betrayed doesn't mean you're stupid or weak. It means you trusted someone who didn't deserve it. That's on them, not you. They became friends. Easy, comfortable friendship that asked nothing and offered everything. Jordan never pushed for more, seemed content with whatever pace Naomi set. They worked together on the nonprofit, grabbed lunch occasionally, texted about random things. Was nice. Simple. Uncomplicated. You like him, Tasha observed during one of their regular dinners. He's a good friend. A good friend who makes you smile more than you have in years. A good friend who you talk about constantly. A good friend who looks at you like you hung the moon. Naomi felt her face heat. It's too soon. I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm not saying marry the guy tomorrow. I'm saying it's okay to be open to possibilities. You've done the work. You've healed. You're allowed to be happy. Was she? Naomi wasn't sure. Happiness felt dangerous, like something that could be stolen again. But Jordan's presence in her life was undeniably positive. He made her laugh. Challenged her thinking. Supported her work without trying to control it. One evening, after a particularly successful nonprofit fundraiser, Jordan walked Naomi to her car. The parking garage was mostly empty, their footsteps echoing. You did amazing tonight, he said. The way you talked about patient advocacy, the passion behind it. You're changing lives, Naomi. It feels good. Like I'm turning something horrible into something meaningful. That's resilience. Taking trauma and transforming it into purpose. Jordan stopped at her car, hands in his pockets. Can I tell you something? Of course. I really enjoy spending time with you. Not just the nonprofit work. All of it. Coffee, random texts, terrible jokes you pretend not to find funny. Naomi smiled despite herself. I genuinely don't find your jokes funny. Liar. You laughed at the one about the lawyer and the doctor last week. That was pity laughter. I'll take it. Jordan's expression turned serious. I'm not trying to pressure you or complicate things. I just wanted you to know that when you're ready, if you're ready, I'd like to take you to dinner. An actual date, not a work thing. No expectations beyond enjoying each other's company. Naomi's first instinct was to say no. To retreat behind walls that had protected her for the past year. But looking at Jordan's open, honest face, she felt something shift inside her. "Okay," she heard herself say. "I'd like that." His smile was radiant. Yeah. Not tomorrow or anything. But soon. When I feel ready. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." They went on their first date 3 weeks later. Dinner at a quiet Italian restaurant, conversation flowing easily, no pressure or expectations. Jordan was exactly who he seemed, kind, funny, genuine. No hidden agendas or secret phones or alternate lives. It felt scary and wonderful all at once. They took things slowly. Dates every few weeks, gradually increasing in frequency. Naomi was hypervigilant at first, looking for red flags, testing his honesty. But Jordan remained consistent. Patient. Understanding. "I don't want to be your rebound or your trauma response," he told her after their 5th date. "If we're doing this, I want it to be because you genuinely want to, not because you're trying to prove you're over Derek." "I am over Derek," Naomi said firmly. "I'm not over what he did, but I'm over him. He's in prison where he belongs and I've moved on." "Have you though? Moved on?" The question stung because it was fair. "I'm working on it. Every day I'm a little more me than I was. A little less defined by what happened. That's good enough for me." Jordan took her hand carefully, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't. "We'll figure this out together at whatever pace works for you." Meanwhile, Naomi made another major decision. She wanted a child. Not because of Derek, not to prove anything, but because she genuinely wanted to be a mother. Her body had healed. Her mind was healing. She had resources, support, and love to give. She explored IVF with donor sperm, meeting with specialists and fertility clinics. The process felt empowering this time, her choice alone. No partner to consider, no husband to rely on. Just her deciding her own future. "I'm doing this," she told Tasha, Dr. Kim, her mother. "I'm having a baby." The support was unanimous and enthusiastic. Her mother cried happy tears. Tasha started planning baby showers. Dr. Kim called it a beautiful act of reclaiming her narrative. The IVF process began that spring. Hormone injections, monitoring, egg retrieval. It was uncomfortable and expensive and emotionally draining. But Naomi pushed through, focused on the goal. Jordan supported her without overstepping. Drove her to appointments when she asked, gave her space when she needed it, celebrated small victories like successful fertilization. "You don't have to do this alone," he said after a particularly difficult appointment. "I know that's your default setting now, but you have people who care about you. Let us help." "I'm trying," Naomi admitted. "It's hard to lean on people when the last person I leaned on destroyed me." "I'm not him. None of us are." Jordan's voice was gentle. "You're allowed to accept support without it meaning you're weak or dependent." The embryo transfer happened on a sunny Tuesday in June. Naomi lay on the examination table, Dr. Foster performing the procedure with the same gentle competence he'd shown throughout her healing process. "Good luck," he said as he finished. "I have a feeling about this one." The 2-week wait was torture. Naomi threw herself into nonprofit work, took long walks, tried not to obsess. Jordan texted encouragement without being pushy. Her mother called daily with positive affirmations. On day 14, Naomi took a pregnancy test. Alone in her bathroom, hands shaking, she waited for the results. 2 lines. Positive. She sank to the floor, crying tears of joy and relief and triumph. This baby was hers. Chosen, wanted, loved already. A new beginning that belonged only to her. 9 months pregnant, Naomi stood at the front of a packed conference hall, addressing an audience of medical professionals and patient advocates. Her belly prominent in a bright blue maternity dress, she spoke about patient rights, medical transparency, and the importance of second opinions. "My story could have ended differently," she told them. "If I hadn't listened to that voice telling me something was wrong. If I hadn't gotten a second opinion. If I hadn't found the courage to investigate and confront. I'm standing here today because I chose to trust myself over someone who'd proven trustworthy." That paradox is something every patient needs to understand. Trust is important, but verification is crucial. The applause was thunderous. After the speech, dozens of people lined up to thank her, share their own stories, pledge support for Know Your Care. The nonprofit had grown beyond Naomi's wildest expectations, now operating in 6 states with plans for national expansion. Jordan waited backstage, ready with water and a comfortable chair. Their relationship had deepened over the months, growing into something solid and real. He'd been there for every prenatal appointment, every milestone, asking nothing except the privilege of being present. "You were amazing," he said, kissing her cheek. Though I'm starting to think baby might have inherited your public speaking skills already, based on all that kicking during the Q&A. Naomi laughed, rubbing her belly. She just wanted to contribute. He, she, they. Whatever this little one turns out to be, they're going to be perfect. Life was full in ways Naomi had never imagined. Her career flourished. The nonprofit thrived. Her relationship with Jordan developed organically, built on honesty and mutual respect. She was surrounded by people who loved and supported her. Tasha, her mother, new friends made through advocacy work. Derek, meanwhile, had faded into irrelevance. Naomi occasionally saw news articles about prison reform that mentioned his case, but she no longer felt the spike of anger those reminders once triggered. He was her past. A cautionary tale. Nothing more. 2 weeks before her due date, Derek's attorney requested a meeting. Naomi almost refused, but curiosity won. She agreed to a phone call, Jordan sitting beside her for support. Mrs. Bennett, the attorney began, Derek wanted me to reach out. He's been working with a therapist in prison doing a lot of reflecting. He'd like to write you a letter. Apologize properly for what he did. No, Naomi said immediately. I don't want his apology. I don't want his letters or his reflection or his attempts at atonement. I want him to stay away from me permanently. He's sincere about making amends. Then he can make amends by serving his sentence and never contacting me again. That's the only amends I'll accept. He also wanted you to know that he's glad about the baby. That he hopes you'll find the happiness he denied you. The presumption made Naomi's blood boil. Tell Derek that my baby has nothing to do with him. This child is mine. My choice, my joy, my future. He doesn't get to have opinions about it. She hung up before the attorney could respond. Jordan squeezed her hand. You okay? I'm great. Derek still doesn't understand that he doesn't get access to my life anymore. But that's his problem, not mine. The baby arrived 3 days later. Labor was intense and exhausting and absolutely worth it. When the doctor placed the tiny, squalling infant on Naomi's chest, she felt a completeness she'd never experienced. She's perfect, the nurse said. Completely healthy. A girl, Naomi whispered, tears streaming down her face. I have a daughter. Her mother was in the delivery room, crying just as hard. Jordan waited outside, respecting Naomi's decision to have just family for the birth. But when she invited him in an hour later, his face lit up with such genuine joy that Naomi's heart squeezed. She's beautiful, he said softly, looking at the baby in awe. What's her name? Hope. Naomi had decided months ago. Hope Grace Bennett. After my mother, and because that's what she represents. Hope Grace Bennett entered the world healthy and loved, surrounded by people committed to protecting her and helping her thrive. Naomi looked at her daughter's tiny face and made a silent promise. You will grow up knowing your worth. Knowing that your voice matters. Knowing that trust should be earned and maintained, not given blindly. You will be strong and confident and free. The first weeks of motherhood were exhausting and wonderful. Naomi's mother moved in temporarily to help. Tasha visited daily with food and baby supplies. Jordan came by every evening, never staying too long, always respectful of boundaries. You're really good with her, Naomi observed one night as Jordan rocked Hope to sleep. She's pretty easy to love. He looked up at Naomi. You both are. Something in his tone made Naomi's breath catch. Jordan? I'm not asking for anything, he said quickly. I'm just saying what I feel. You and Hope, you've become incredibly important to me. I love watching you be a mom. Love seeing you so happy and confident. Whatever this is between us, however it develops, I'm grateful to be part of it. I love you too, Naomi heard herself say. The words felt scary and right all at once. I wasn't looking for love. Wasn't sure I was capable of it anymore. But somehow you snuck past my defenses. Jordan's smile was tender. Best sneaking I've ever done. They kissed over Hope's sleeping form, gentle and sweet. A new kind of love, built on friendship and trust and shared values. Not the overwhelming passion of Naomi's relationship with Derek, but something steadier, safer, real. 6 months after Hope's birth, Naomi received notification that Derek was being released early for good behavior. 3.5 years served instead of 5. The news should have upset her, but mostly she felt indifferent. He's nobody to me now, she told Jordan. A name in my past. He can't hurt me anymore. What if he tries to contact you? Then I'll deal with it. But I doubt he will. His life is destroyed. Mine is flourishing. There's nothing he can offer me except more pain, and I won't give him that power. Derek did not contact her. According to mutual acquaintances, he'd moved to another state, taken a job in pharmaceutical sales, tried to rebuild a life far from the city where his crimes had made headlines. Simone had reportedly kept the baby and refused to let Derek have any involvement. He was alone, starting over with nothing. Naomi felt no sympathy. He'd made choices that led to consequences. Now he lived with them just as she lived with the results of her choices. Her choices had led her here, to a beautiful daughter, to meaningful work, to genuine love, to a life rich with purpose and connection. On Hope's first birthday, Naomi hosted a party in her condo. Friends and family filled the space, celebrating the little girl who'd brought so much joy into their lives. Hope toddled around in a bright red dress, laughing as people made silly faces at her. Jordan pulled Naomi aside during the festivities. "I have something for you." He handed her a small wrapped box. Inside was a key. "What's this?" "A key to my place. I'm not proposing anything except the option to have space there when you want it. Move in officially, keep it as an escape option, whatever works for you. No pressure. Just possibility." Naomi looked at the key, then at Jordan's hopeful face, then at Hope playing with her grandmother. This was her life now. Full of love freely given, trust carefully built, happiness earned through surviving. "I'll think about it," she said, but she was already smiling. Already imagining a future that included this good man, this sweet child, this beautiful life she'd reconstructed from the ashes of betrayal. She'd thought Derek had destroyed her. Instead, he'd inadvertently freed her to become someone stronger. Someone who knew her own worth. Someone who demanded honesty and gave love only to those who deserved it. Victory, Naomi realized, wasn't about revenge. It was about living well. Thriving. Building something better from the rubble of what came before. And she was absolutely thriving. 2 years after Hope's birth, Naomi stood in front of the mirror in Jordan's bathroom, now their bathroom. She'd moved in 8 months ago, slowly merging her life with his. Carefully. Deliberately. Making sure every step felt right. The condo had sold for excellent profit. Jordan's house was perfect for their blended family. Spacious, bright, with a big backyard where Hope could play. He'd converted one room into an office for Naomi's nonprofit work. Another became Hope's nursery, painted soft yellow with clouds on the ceiling. This morning, Naomi wore a green dress for the Know Your Care annual gala. The organization had grown beyond her wildest dreams, now operating in 15 states with international interest. They'd helped thousands of patients get second opinions, connected survivors of medical abuse, advocated for stronger oversight laws. 3 states had passed legislation directly inspired by Derek's case. "You look stunning," Jordan said, appearing behind her. He wore a navy suit that made his eyes even more striking. "You look pretty good yourself." Naomi turned into his embrace. "Ready for tonight? Always ready to watch you inspire rooms full of people." He kissed her forehead. "Though I'm more excited about tomorrow." Tomorrow they were taking Hope to the zoo. Simple family time, the kind Naomi had dreamed about during those dark years with Derek. The kind she'd thought she'd never have. But here she was. Mother to a brilliant, joyful 2-year-old. Partner to a man who respected and supported her. Leader of an organization making real change. The gala was spectacular. 500 attendees, major donors, politicians, medical professionals. Naomi gave the keynote speech, sharing her story and highlighting the work Know Your Care had accomplished. 3 years ago, I stood in a doctor's office and learned my entire marriage was a lie, she told the crowd. That the man I trusted most had systematically abused me. I could have let that destroy me. Instead, I chose to transform my pain into purpose. To ensure no one else suffers in silence the way I did. Tonight, I'm proud to announce Know Your Care is launching a national hotline for patients who suspect medical abuse. We're partnering with the American Medical Association to develop new protocols for patient advocacy. And we're establishing a legal fund to help survivors pursue justice. The applause was deafening. After the speech, Dr. Foster approached her, pride evident on his face. "You've taken something I barely started and turned it into a movement," he said. "That second opinion was just the beginning. Look what you've built." "You saved me," Naomi replied. "Everything after that was only possible because you cared enough to question what you saw. You saved yourself. I just opened a door. You walked through it." Later, during dancing, Jordan pulled Naomi close. They swayed to the music, comfortable and connected. "I have something to ask you," he said quietly. Naomi tensed automatically, old reflexes kicking in. "What?" "Nothing scary. I promise." Jordan smiled reassuringly. "I was thinking we should start talking about the future. Real concrete plans, not just possibilities. What kind of plans? Marriage maybe. More kids. Building something permanent together. Only if you want to. I know marriage is complicated for you after Derek. It was complicated. The word itself carried baggage. But looking at Jordan, feeling his steady presence, Naomi realized the complication wasn't about marriage. It was about trusting her judgment again. I do want those things, she admitted. With you. Just maybe not tomorrow. How about next year? Jordan's eyes sparkled. Give you time to get comfortable with the idea. Maybe let me properly propose instead of springing it on you at a gala. Next year sounds perfect. They danced until late, surrounded by people who believed in their mission and supported their work. When they finally drove home, Hope was asleep at Naomi's mother's house. They had the night to themselves, rare and precious. In bed later, Naomi stared at the ceiling, thinking about how far she'd come. From the examination room where Dr. Foster had discovered Derek's deception to this moment, safe and loved in a home built on honesty. What are you thinking? Jordan asked sleepily. That I'm happy. Really, genuinely happy. I didn't think I'd feel this way again. You deserve happiness. You fought for it, built it from nothing. That takes incredible strength. Naomi turned to face him. Do you ever worry I'm still broken? That Derek damaged me too much for a normal relationship? You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. Jordan touched her face gently. And no relationship is normal. We all bring our histories, our wounds, our fears. What matters is how we handle them together. I still have nightmares sometimes. About discovering the pills, confronting Derek, testifying in court. That's natural. Trauma doesn't disappear just because you're in a better place. But it gets quieter. Easier to manage. And you're not alone in it anymore. She kissed him then, grateful for his patience, his understanding, his love. They'd built something real together, something that honored both their pasts while reaching toward their future. Morning came bright and clear. Hope woke them at 6, bouncing on their bed with the boundless energy of toddlers everywhere. Zoo day, she shouted. See elephants. Naomi scooped her up, tickling her until she giggled uncontrollably. Yes, zoo day. Let's get you some breakfast first. The three of them moved through morning routines with practiced ease. Breakfast, teeth brushing, getting Hope dressed in purple overalls she'd insisted on wearing. Jordan made coffee while Naomi packed snacks. Simple, domestic, perfect. At the zoo, Hope delighted in every animal. She pressed her face against the glass at the aquarium, squealed at the giraffes, demanded to ride the carousel 3 times. Jordan carried her on his shoulders when she got tired. Naomi captured photos on her phone, preserving these moments of joy. Can we do this forever? Hope asked during lunch, face covered in ice cream. We can try, Naomi promised, wiping her clean. That evening, after Hope had been put to bed, Naomi sat in her home office reviewing the latest Know Your Care expansion plans. They were opening offices in 5 new cities, hiring more staff, developing training programs for medical students about patient advocacy. The work was endless but fulfilling. Her phone rang. A known number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Naomi, this is Simone. Naomi's first instinct was to hang up. But curiosity won. What do you want? I'm calling to tell you that Derek died. Heart attack 2 days ago. I thought you should know. The news hit Naomi like cold water. Derek was dead. The man who'd controlled her, abused her, stolen years of her life. Gone. Why are you telling me? Her voice sounded distant to her own ears. Because you deserve to know. And because I wanted to say I'm sorry. Again. For my part in hurting you. I was young and stupid and selfish. My daughter asks about her father sometimes and I don't know what to tell her. How do you explain someone like Derek? You tell her the truth age appropriately. That her father made terrible choices that hurt people. That she doesn't have to be like him. That his mistakes don't define her. Naomi paused. How old is she? 4. She's beautiful and smart and I'm terrified I'll mess her up. You won't. If you're worried about it, you're already doing better than Derek ever could. Thank you for saying that. And Naomi? I genuinely hope you're happy now. You deserved so much better than what we put you through. After hanging up, Naomi sat in silence. Derek was dead. She should feel something, relief maybe, or closure. Instead, she just felt empty. He'd already been erased from her life. His actual death changed nothing. Jordan found her there an hour later. You okay? You've been quiet. Derek died. Heart attack. Jordan sat beside her. How do you feel about that? I don't know. I already grieved him years ago. He's been dead to me since the divorce. This just makes it official. That's valid. You don't owe him complicated emotions just because he's gone. I keep thinking about his daughter. Simone called to tell me. The little girl is 4, asks about her father. What kind of life is she going to have, knowing her father was a criminal who died alone? That's not your responsibility, Jordan said gently. You can have compassion without taking on their burden. I know. It's just complicated. Most things are. That night, Naomi dreamed about Derek for the first time in months. But in the dream he wasn't threatening or controlling. He was just gone, fading away like smoke, while she stood in sunlight holding hope. When she woke, she felt lighter. Like some invisible weight had lifted. Derek's death made minor news. Disgraced doctor dies at 47, read one headline. The articles recapped his crimes, his conviction, his fall from grace. Naomi was mentioned as the victim who'd exposed him. She didn't read past the first paragraph. I don't need to relive it, she told Tasha over coffee. That chapter is closed. I'm writing new ones now. Good ones from what I can see. Tasha smiled at Hope, who was busy coloring at the next table. You've built an incredible life. We built it. You, Mom, Dr. Foster, Jordan. All of you helped me get here. We support it. You did the work. A month after Derek's death, Naomi received a letter from his attorney. Derek had left her something in his will, a letter written during his last week alive. She almost threw it away unopened. But late one night, curiosity won. The letter was handwritten, Derek's familiar script strange and painful to see. It was short, direct. Naomi, I know I have no right to write to you. You made it clear you wanted no contact and I've respected that. But I'm dying and I need to say this before I go. I destroyed you. Systematically, deliberately, cruelly. I told myself I was protecting you, that I knew what was best, but the truth is I was protecting myself. I was a coward who couldn't be honest about what I wanted. I watched you suffer and did nothing because my comfort mattered more than your pain. You deserved better. You deserved truth, respect, partnership. Instead you got me. I'm sorry. Those words are inadequate, but they're all I have. I'm glad you're thriving. Glad you have the family I denied you. Glad you turned your pain into something meaningful. You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for. Live well. Be happy. That's the only amends I can make now. Derek. Naomi read it twice, then put it in a drawer. Not forgiveness exactly, but acknowledgement. Derek had owned his actions, recognized his cruelty, released her from any obligation to his memory. It was enough. Spring arrived with new beginnings. Know Your Care announced a major grant from a national foundation. Jordan proposed properly, down on one knee in their backyard while Hope cheered. Naomi said yes without hesitation, ready to build this new future. Her wedding dress was red, bright and bold. They married in a small ceremony with close family and friends, Hope serving as flower girl. Naomi's mother cried happy tears. Tasha gave a toast about resilience and love. Dr. Foster attended, proud as any father. As Naomi and Jordan exchanged vows, she thought about the journey that had led here. The pain, the betrayal, the long climb back to trust and joy. She'd survived something that should have broken her. Instead, it had revealed her strength. I love you, Jordan said, slipping a ring on her finger. I love you, Naomi replied, meaning it completely. They kissed as husband and wife, Hope squealing with delight. Cameras flashed, people clapped, and Naomi felt overwhelmingly grateful for this moment, this life, this second chance at happiness. That night, lying in bed with Jordan beside her, Hope asleep in her room, Naomi touched her belly where a second child grew. Another choice she'd made freely, joyfully. Another dream Derek had tried to steal, but that belonged to her now. She'd named the baby Alexander. Wait, no, I need a different name. She'd named the baby Miles if it was a boy, Grace if it was a girl. Either way, this child would grow up knowing love without manipulation, trust without betrayal, family without conditions. Naomi had built this life from ashes. Every piece carefully chosen, deliberately placed. It wasn't perfect because no life is, but it was honest, real, hers. And that, finally, was enough.